Welcome to the Deconstructionist Deep Dive.
The podcast that doesn't just accept the story.
We break it
We examine the pieces.
and expose the machinery inside.
Let's dive in.
What if confidence, self-respect, and emotional mastery aren't rewards you earn through effort and discomfort, but are actually sophisticated mechanisms designed to keep you looping inside the very system you think you're escaping?
That is the question for today, isn't it? And it's a really dangerous one.
It is.
Because, if the answer is yes, then what does that say about 90% of the self-help industry?
It says the books on your shelf aren't manuals for freedom.
No. They're operating manuals.
Right. For a prison cell you don't even know you're in.
A very comfortable, well-decorated prison cell, maybe, but a prison nonetheless.
Okay, so for today's deep dive, we've got a huge stack of source material. We're looking at philosophical critiques, psychological models, and a really ruthless deconstruction of modern hustle culture.
And the central argument we're tackling is that this whole grind set, this action-first mentality, it's not a path to liberation.
It's what the source calls a containment field.
A containment field. I love that term. Let's just sit with that for a second. It's not a wall you can see or touch.
No, it's an energy barrier. It's invisible. And its purpose is to keep something volatile, contained. Yeah, it's designed to contain you, your potential, your energy.
To keep it from, disrupting the system.
Exactly. So we need to be very specific about our target here. We're not talking about, the simple wisdom of clean your room. This isn't about general discipline.
No, this is a very specific school of thought.
It is. It's the Iron Man philosophy, the Hormozi-style analysis of success. You know the vibe we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. It's Jim Bro rhetoric meets private equity logic. It's aggressive. It's all facts over feelings.
And the core premise is that you, right now, are a useless block of unformed clay.
Worthless until proven otherwise.
And the only way to become a person of value is to beat yourself into shape with a hammer, relentlessly.
Right. It's that axiom, you don't feel like it, too bad, do it anyway.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we all kind of nod along to that, don't we? We think, yeah, that's what discipline is. That's maturity.
We do. But our deep dive today is going to argue that that specific sequence-forcing action, ignoring your internal signals, is the entry point to the trap.
The action first myth.
That's the one. Let's unpack this, because it's the core deception of the entire structure. The central belief is that things like confidence and mastery are outputs.
They're products.
Yes. They're products that only fall off the assembly line after you've put in a massive, massive amount of what the system calls the suck.
The source calls it the confidence output paradigm, which is just such a perfect sterile term for it. The idea that you are fundamentally empty until you fill yourself up with labor.
It completely rejects and actually demonizes the idea that you might need to feel confident or at least aligned to start something.
Oh, it's worse than that. It frames that desire for alignment as weakness, as an excuse.
You're just waiting for motivation, and motivation is a myth. We've all heard that.
Right. Instead, it says, no. You start terrified, you start incompetent, and you suffer. They even have a neat little framework for it.
The 4 C's.
The 4 C's. It sounds like a corporate training seminar, doesn't it?
It sounds like something you'd see on a PowerPoint slide in a windowless conference room while someone is yelling at you about your Q3 projections.
Exactly.
But it's insidious because it sounds so logical. So the sequence is commit, courage, competence, and then finally, confidence.
And you have to go through them in that order. No skipping steps.
Let's break this down because the mechanism is in the sequence. Step 1, commit.
Which means to bind yourself. It's a promise.
You have to commit first, before you have the skills, before you have the proof of concept, and definitely before you have the feeling of confidence. You have to lock yourself in.
So you're essentially signing a contract with your own future misery. You're saying, I, here and now, promise to do this thing that I'm currently terrified of and totally incapable of doing.
You're taking out a loan, a debt against your future time and emotional energy. That's the commitment.
And then comes the next step, courage. But it's not the kind of courage we think of from movies.
No, this isn't Knight Saves the Village courage. In this context, courage is just a euphemism for pain tolerance. It's embracing the suck. It's enduring.
It's the courage of a mule, not a hero. Just putting one foot in front of the other while carrying a crushing weight.
So, step 1, sign the debt contract. That's commit. Step 2, start making the interest payments on that debt through your own suffering. That's courage.
And if you suffer enough, if you pay enough of that gruesome interest, you eventually unlock step 3, competence.
You start to get good at the thing you hated doing.
And only then, At the very, very end of this whole painful rainbow, you get the prize. Step 4, confidence.
It frames confidence as the little plastic toy at the bottom of a cereal box. You have to eat all the stale, sugary cardboard first. You have to force it down.
And that is the logic trap right there. The system requires misery. It's not an unfortunate side effect. It's a feature, not a bug.
Discomfort becomes the proof that you're on the right path.
Yes. If you aren't hating the process, you must be doing it wrong. If you're enjoying yourself too early in the game, you're considered delusional. You haven't earned the right to feel good yet.
It's a purely transactional view of human growth.
Which brings us to the wider lens. Why? Why does this appeal to us so much? I mean, millions of smart, capable people hear this and they nod and say, yes, please, sign me up for the pain.
Is it just that we're all masochists at heart?
I think it's because we are addicted to the archetype of the struggle. We are obsessed with the hero's journey.
It's a better story.
It's a much better story. If I came to you and said, hey, guess what? You're actually fine. You're whole right now. You don't need to do anything to prove your worth. Your brain just sort of short circuits. It's boring.
Right. Nobody buys a movie ticket to watch a guy sit in a chair and just be content.
But if I tell you, you are a worthless lump of coal, but I have a system that can squeeze you under immense pressure until you become a diamond, now that's a narrative.
Now you have a movie.
It gives your suffering meaning. It ennobles the pain you're already feeling. It tells you your anxiety is actually a sign of your potential.
But the source material argues that that meaning is actually the bars of the cage. It calls this an effort energy drain.
Okay, break that down. Effort energy drain.
The system isn't designed for you to reach the destination. It's designed to run on the energy you expend while you're trying to get there. It's designed to harvest your effort.
Through that perpetual doing.
Yes. If you are constantly committing and encouraging your way through the suck, you are generating a huge amount of energy. You're buying the courses, subscribing to the apps, working the second job, posting your progress.
You are the fuel.
You are the engine. The system doesn't actually care if you become a diamond. It just needs you to keep squeezing. If you stop doing, the whole self-help industrial complex grinds to a halt. So it has to create a philosophy where constant painful action is a moral imperative.
And that creates what the source calls a reincarnation lure.
That's a powerful term. Explain that.
Well, think about traditional reincarnation. You suffer through this life. You endure its hardships so that you might be reborn into a better one next time.
Your reward is deferred to the next life.
Exactly. This action-first model just condenses that cycle into your daily life. It creates this loop where your satisfaction, your peace, your confidence, it's always deferred to a future post-action state.
I'll be happy when.
I'll be happy when I close this deal. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be confident when I master this skill. You are never, ever allowed to feel whole or worthy now.
Your present self is always just a stepping stone to a better future self.
A future self that acts as a carrot on a stick, forever out of reach. It creates a soul recycling loop.
Soul recycling?
Yeah.
Wow.
You burn yourself out to achieve a goal.
Oh.
You get there. You feel a moment of relief, then emptiness.
Yeah.
So what do? You set a bigger, harder goal. You dive right back into the suck. You are recycling your own life force through this grinder of effort, hoping that one day you'll finally reach a state of permanent satisfaction.
But the system is designed to make sure you never do.
Because there's always another sea. There's always another mountain to climb. You hit 6 figures, you need 7. You run the marathon, now you need to do an ultramarathon. The finish line is a mirage.
And this brings us to the trap of readiness, this idea that you must commit before you're ready. The source is absolutely brutal on this point.
It says this isn't bravery. It calls it a matrix initiation rite.
A matrix initiation rite. So it's a ritual designed to plug you in, not to set you free.
Exactly. It demands these blind leaps of faith. Burn the boats, jump off the cliff, and build the wings on the way down.
And we celebrate that. We call it gutsy.
But why does the system demand it? To keep you unstable. If you are always jumping before you feel ready, you are always operating from a place of crisis. You are always scrambling to catch up.
And when you're scrambling,
you're easy to control. You're desperate. You're looking for a guru, a framework, a 5-step plan, anything to tell you how to survive the fall you just initiated.
You know, it reminds me of those high-pressure sales tactics. This offer is only good for the next 10 minutes. Sign now.
Yes.
They don't want you to think. They don't want you to check in with your intuition. They want you to commit. Because once you've signed, you're on the hook. You have to spend the rest of your energy justifying the decision you made under duress.
And the only way to justify it is to make it work. through sheer brute force.
Which is the emotional machinery that keeps this whole engine running, and that machine is fear.
Right. The source material has this fascinating take on what it calls fear integration.
This part really got me, because the mainstream advice is always about managing fear, right?
Yes. The Hormozi school and many others, they say, look, you can't eliminate fear. That's for kids. A professional learns to act anyway. They tell you to build distress tolerance.
Get good at being afraid.
Normalize the cortisol. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the mantra.
And the source deconstructs this as, frankly, a scam. It calls it frequency harvesting.
That sounds like something out of science fiction. Frequency harvesting.
It basically is. The argument is that by normalizing chronic fear and high anxiety, by branding it as the standard operating condition for success, the system ensures that you remain in a low-frequency state.
You're kept in a perpetual state of fight or flight. Survival mode.
A constant low-grade vibration of threat. If you accept that fear is just your permanent co-pilot, you stop looking for the emergency exit. You never ask the really important question.
Which is,
wait a minute, why am I choosing to do something that terrifies me this much every single day? Is this path actually aligned with who I am?
instead of asking that, you pat yourself on the back for how much terror you can swallow without throwing up.
It becomes a badge of honor.
It's the glorification of a high pain threshold. But fear is a biological signal. It's supposed to tell you something. It's supposed to say, hey, danger ahead, or this environment is toxic for you.
And the system teaches you to override the signal. It says, no, ignore the alarm. The fire is where the growth is. Run into the burning building.
And this connects directly to the idea of the swamp.
The swamp, the messy middle. We hear this all the time.
Oh, you're struggling. You're confused. Don't worry. You're just in the swamp. Everyone goes through it. Keep going.
It's a very comforting narrative when you feel lost. It validates your confusion, makes it part of the plan.
It does, but the source uses a different word for it. Bafflement. It's a strategy. It obscures all the other escape paths. If you believe you are in a swamp that everyone must trudge through, you stop looking for dry land. You stop looking for a bridge.
You just focus on the next step.
Exactly. It creates this hyper-focus on microtasks. Just write the next email. Just make the next sales call. Just lift your foot out of the mud and put it down again.
It keeps you so focused on your boots that you never look up and see the walls of the macro prison. You don't realize the swamp was artificially created.
You don't realize you could just walk around it. Or that maybe the swamp is actually a maze designed to keep you walking in circles, expending energy forever.
And all that waiting, all that trudging brings us to a really crucial distinction the source makes, the difference between suffering and discomfort.
This is huge. The argument is that suffering is a narrative overlay.
Okay, unpack that.
Raw sensation is just raw sensation. Pain is a signal from your nervous system. Discomfort is a state of being. But suffering is the story you tell yourself about the pain.
The story being, this is the price of greatness, or why is this happening to me?
Exactly. And the great deception of the system is that it teaches us to interpret all pain as a necessary, virtuous part of the way. It's got this weird Puritan Confucian mashup vibe, no pain, no gain.
The source calls it pain implantation.
Yes, it normalizes this idea. It makes you believe that if you aren't hurting, you aren't growing. If things feel easy or joyful, you get suspicious.
You think, this can't be right. I must be doing something wrong. I'm not working hard enough.
And that belief system actively blocks the breakout moment. Because if you find a path of least resistance, which is how nature works, by the way, water, electricity, they all find the easiest path, the system shames you for it.
It calls you lazy, a slacker, a wantrepreneur.
So you actively seek out the harder path. You validate the prison walls. You choose to climb the mountain of broken glass because you've been programmed to believe that's the only path to the summit.
It's so deeply internalized. We become our own prison guards. We feel guilty for any sense of ease.
Which is the perfect segue to our next section. The prison of self-respect and emotional mastery.
Now, this is where it gets really controversial, because self-respect sounds like an unassailable good. I mean, who would argue against having self-respect?
We would, or at least the source material does, because it's all about the definition. We have to look at how self-respect is defined within this action-first context.
And it is not about loving yourself. It is not about honoring your feelings or your intuition.
No, in this world, self-respect is defined as a system.
A system based on one thing, keeping your word to yourself, no matter what.
The line is something like, confidence is I hope I can do it. Self-respect is if I say I will do it, it is already done.
It sounds so heroic, so stoic. But when you dissect it, it's defining self-respect as a rigid adherence to behavioral loops, completely divorced from your emotional reality.
It turns the individual into an algorithm.
A machine. A machine that must execute its programming, the commitments it made, regardless of new information, changing desires, or, basic human needs. The source calls this a high-priority target for deconstruction.
Because it's the guilt lever.
Explain that.
Okay, think about it. Keeping your word becomes the ultimate weapon against your own autonomy. Let's say you declare, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every day for the next year.
A common hustle culture commitment.
Right. And 3 weeks in, you're exhausted, your body is breaking down, you're irritable, your work is suffering. You realize this is actually a terrible idea for my specific biology and lifestyle.
The rational thing to do would be to adjust the plan.
But the system says, no, you gave your word. If you stop now, you lose self-respect. You're a failure.
So self-respect becomes this cage that locks you into bad decisions. It forces you to serve a past version of yourself, the ignorant version who made the commitment, rather than the present, wiser version of yourself who has new data.
It subordinates your present moment awareness to a past command. It's the opposite of freedom. It's self-tyranny.
But it's branded as integrity, a hollow integrity. Really, it's just compliance, and it protects the hierarchy of the system. It ensures that once a unit, that's you, is assigned a task, it completes the task without question. It prevents rebellion.
It prevents you from changing your mind. And in a world that is defined by constant change, the inability to adapt, the inability to change your mind, is a death sentence.
It's stagnation branded as steadfastness. And it pairs perfectly with the other side of the coin, emotional mastery.
Or, as the source sometimes calls it, emotional sobriety.
The advice here, as described by the source, is basically controlled expression without vomiting.
Don't vomit your emotions on people. That's the actual phrase.
Which means, handle your own baggage. Don't be a burden. We're told that high-respect individuals exit arguments they can't win. They own their flaws.
And again, on the surface, that sounds like good advice. It sounds mature. We don't want to be around people who are constantly melting down.
Of course not. But the deconstruction here is that this is just repression branded as maturity.
It's a way to neutralize shame, yes, but in doing so, it also neutralizes your power. Think about the phrase, owning your flaws.
Okay.
When you own a flaw, you are accepting the narrative that you are, in fact, flawed. You're saying, yes, I am broken in this specific way, and I am now going to manage my brokenness responsibly.
You aren't rejecting the initial diagnosis of being broken.
No, you're internalizing it. You're giving your insecurity a name, a label, and a room in your house.
Yeah.
You might keep the door to that room closed, but it lives with you now. It's part of your identity.
Whereas a truly radical approach would be to ask, why am I accepting the label of insecure in the first place? Who benefits from me believing I am flawed?
But the system needs you to believe you're flawed. It needs you to keep the label because that keeps you working on yourself. It keeps you in the self-improvement loop forever. If you were already whole, you wouldn't need to buy the books or the courses.
So the business model requires your sense of inadequacy.
And then there's the relational aspect of this emotional mastery, which to me was the most chilling part. The concept of people as cost.
The energetic cost metric. Auditing your friendships.
This idea that you should sit down with a spreadsheet and evaluate your friends. Does this person give me energy or take it away? Are they an asset or a liability to my goals?
It sounds so logical and efficient on the surface. Protect your energy.
But the source calls it a sociopathic undertaking because it is the final colonization of human connection by capitalist logic. It turns your friendships into a profit and loss statement.
And it isolates you in a completely transactional prison.
Can we just go deeper on that? Because I think this is where people get really stuck. We are told constantly, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
The Jim Rohn quote, it's gospel in these circles.
Right. So the Action First protocol demands you perform an audit. You look at your old friend Dave. Dave's a good guy. You've known him for years. He likes video games, has a normal job. He's not crushing it.
Dave is, in the system's language, a low-frequency asset. He's a liability on your personal balance sheet. He's dragging down your stock price.
So the advice is to cut Dave. You exit the room, you limit contact, and you replace him with Chad, who runs a 7-figure marketing funnel and posts his 4 a.m. ice baths on Instagram.
And now you're leveling up. Your average has increased.
But look at what you've just done. You didn't just swap friends. You fundamentally changed how you view human beings. You stopped seeing them as ends in themselves, as people to love and connect with, and you started seeing them as tools, as batteries to be plugged into your success machine.
You instrumentalize them.
And the moment you instrumentalize other people, you have, by definition, instrumentalized yourself. Because you know deep down that Chad is only hanging out with you because you provide value to him.
The minute you can't provide that value, you have a crisis, you get sick, your business fails, Chad will exit the room on you without a second thought.
So you end up in this world of profound isolation, disguised as a high-value network. Everyone is performing this constant, exhausting state of being on, of being valuable, because they're terrified of being audited and cut.
It's a hall of mirrors. Nobody is actually home. Everyone is just a reflection of everyone else's ambition.
And this loops back to the flaw ownership idea. In that environment, you can't just be sad. You can't be insecure. You have to own it. You have to package your humanity into a neat, marketable story of growth.
I'm currently processing a feeling of inadequacy regarding my Q3 projections. You have to sanitize your own soul to make it palatable for the network.
It turns emotion into a bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Controlled expression without vomiting.
And that's what the entire self-respect system is. It's just filing paperwork on your own spirit. Did I keep my word today? Check. Did I optimize my fear? Check. Did I exit the low-value interaction? Check.
And all the while, the actual wild being inside you is screaming. It doesn't want to fill out a report. It just wants to live.
And that, according to the source, is why people burn out. Burnout isn't running out of energy. Burnout is your soul going on strike.
Burnout is your soul going on strike. I'm stealing that.
It's your deepest self finally saying, I am done. I am not building this pyramid for you anymore. But the gurus just come along and say, no, you're just in the swamp. You need more grit. Keep going.
When the grit itself is the problem, it's the sand in the gears of your life.
Okay, so we've dismantled the modern machinery. We see the 4 C's as a hamster wheel. We see self-respect as a compliance algorithm. But now the deep dive goes even deeper. It maps these modern deceptions onto much older, more radical systems of thought.
This is where it gets really fun. We're going to cross-references with heresy.
Section 4, the heretical cross-reference. Let's start with Gnosticism.
Okay, for anyone not up on their ancient heresies, the basic Gnostic idea is that this material world is a prison or a mistake. It was created by a lesser false god, the demiurge, to trap the divine light inside human souls.
It's basically the original Matrix theory 2,000 years before the movie.
Totally.
So if we take that Gnostic lens, the modern work ethic maps perfectly onto what they would call archontic labor.
The archons being the cosmic prison guards, the agents of the demiurge.
Exactly. The archons want you to labor. They want you to stay busy building things in the material world because that keeps you distracted from your true divine nature. The 4 C's, that endless ladder you're supposed to climb.
That's the steps of Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth being one of the names for that false god.
Right. The system wants you to strive and suffer and grind because that striving produces a certain kind of energy. Emotional energy, frustration, false hope, fear, pride. And that energy is food for the archons.
So the promise that if you just work hard enough, you'll eventually earn your freedom is the ultimate lie to keep the slaves building the pyramid.
If they stop building, the false god starves. The system collapses.
And you see a similar structure in other places, right? The Masonic parallel.
Yeah, the 4 C's as a hierarchical scam. In systems like Freemasonry or any tiered secret society, there's always another degree. You work for years to reach the 32nd degree, and then you find out there's a 33rd. You never truly arrive.
The goalpost is always moving.
The action-first model is identical. You finally get the confidence, but then the guru tells you that's not enough. Now you need mastery. After mastery, you need legacy. After legacy, you need impact. It never, ever ends.
It's an infinite staircase inside the prison, which is why the alternative visions the source points to are so radical. They aren't about climbing the staircase faster.
They're about realizing the staircase is an illusion and stepping off it entirely.
Let's start with the big one. Advaita Vedanta, non-dualism.
This is the complete antithesis of the action cycle. The action cycle's premise is, you are incomplete, you are lacking, do these things, and one day you will become whole.
And Advaita says,
that's the foundational lie. You are already whole, you are already complete.
Ramana Maharshi's famous line, the self is now, not in the future, now.
Or, Nisargadatta Maharaj, there is nothing to do. You are already that.
It sounds so simple, but it's the most radical idea in the world. It completely short-circuits the entire self-improvement industry.
The action-first guys hate it, because if you are already that, if you are already the complete self, then you don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. to punish yourself. You don't need to embrace the suck. You just need to stop believing the story that you're broken.
It collapses the timeline. The entire hustle culture myth relies on a future payoff. Future you will be happy. Future you will be confident. Advaita says there is no future you. There's only this eternal now. And if you're not free in the now, you'll never be free.
Because then is just another now when you finally get there.
Exactly. Okay, what about chaos magic? This one's a bit wilder.
Chaos magic is all about hacking reality. The action-first model says reality is a solid brick wall, and the only way through is to smash your head against it for 10,000 hours until it breaks. That's the grind.
Chaos magic says reality isn't a brick wall, it's a dream. It's a projection of your belief. And if you can strategically change your core beliefs, your paradigm, the wall just dissolves.
It's paradigm shifting without all the painful labor. It rejects linear cause and effect. It says you can jump timelines, you can adopt the belief and feeling state of a master now, and reality will start to reorganize itself around that new belief.
It's fake it till you make it. But on a metaphysical level, it's the understanding that all the work is often just an elaborate ritual we perform to convince ourselves that we deserve the result. The chaos magician says, why not skip the ritual and just claim the result?
It's a profoundly different worldview.
And then you have something like anarcho-primitivism,
which is the rejection of the entire concept of mastery. Why do we need to master anything? Why is optimization the highest good?
A wolf doesn't try to optimize its hunting strategy with a productivity app. It just hunts. It's a return to wild being instead of civilized doing.
The action-first model is hyper-civilized. It's about self-domestication. It's about training yourself like you're an animal that needs to be broken. Anarcho-primitivism says, stop. You are not a dog. You are a wild thing.
And finally, the source brings up real stoicism, not the stuff you see on Instagram.
Yeah, we have to make this distinction. Bro stoicism, or hustle stoicism, cherry picks quotes from Marcus Aurelius to sell you planners and justify enduring misery for profit.
It interprets stoicism as endurance for gain, as in, I will suffer through this ice bath so I can become a beast in the boardroom.
But real classical stoicism was about empathia. It's not about gritting your teeth to win the prize. It's about genuine indifference to the outcome. It's about doing the right action because it is virtuous and natural, not because of the reward it might bring.
The hustle stoic says, I will endure this pain to get the reward. The real stoic says, pain, reward, they are both externals and my inner state remains sovereign and undisturbed regardless.
It's a universe of difference. One is a commercial transaction with reality. The other is spiritual liberation from it.
So we've laid out the trap. We've looked at the ancient keys that unlock it. Now we need the escape velocity protocol.
Section 5. How to actually break the machine. If the 4 C's and the action-first myth are the trap, what's the exit?
Step 1, according to the source, is simply see the trap.
You have to map these deceptions in your own life. You have to look at your current goals, your to-do list, your vision board, and ask the hard question. Is this a genuine desire from my core being, or is this a future confidence lure I've bought into?
You have to realize that the promise of future happiness is the very mechanism designed to keep you powerless and dissatisfied now.
It's like waking up in the pod in the Matrix. The first step is just seeing the cables plugged into you. You can't pull them out until you see them.
Then step 2, refuse the lure. Stop biting the hook.
This is the hardest part for most people. It means consciously rejecting the future bait. It means you stop working for a version of yourself that doesn't exist yet.
Practically, it means you might have to stop the grind. You might have to just sit still and face the terror of not doing, of not being productive.
It's like stepping off a moving treadmill. You're going to stumble, you might scrape your knees, people still running on it will look at you like you're insane, but you have to refuse the core belief that your worth is tied to your output.
And that leads to step 3, burn the cycle.
This is where you bring in that non-dual perspective. You embrace what the source calls non-dual sovereignty.
You assert as a foundational truth, I am valid right now. My confusion is valid. My fear is valid. My incompetence is valid. I do not need to fix any of these things to be worthy of my own life.
You declare the renovation project over. You stop fixing yourself. You take down the scaffolding. The house is fine as it is.
And finally, step 4, sovereignty assertion. This is about applying pure skepticism to all prescribed sequences.
Anytime you hear someone say, you must do A, then B, then C to get to D, your immediate response should be, why?
Who says? Says who? What happens if I go straight to D? What if I decide I don't even want D?
It's the final shift. Moving from a mindset of endurance, which feeds the matrix, to a mindset of immediacy. Liberation is about direct access, not a long and painful journey.
You stop climbing the ladder. And then you realize the ladder was the cage all along.
The ladder is the cage. That's it. That's the whole deep dive right there.
So on a practical Tuesday morning level, what does this look like? It means when you feel that pang of guilt for not crushing it, you don't engage with it. You recognize it for what it is.
An implanted control mechanism.
The little bot from the system trying to shock you back into compliance. And you just see it. You acknowledge it.
And you laugh at it. The source says laughter is a frequency the archons can't stand.
So, to be clear, this escape isn't about becoming lazy. It's not about just sitting on the couch forever, though for some people that might be a necessary rebellious first step.
A detox. But no, it's about shifting the source of your action. It's about learning to act from a place of fullness instead of a place of lack.
That's the Advaita key. If you act because you already are confident, because you already are whole, that action becomes play. It's a dance. It's creation.
But if you act because you want to become confident, because you believe you are lacking, that action is labor. It's slavery. It's fueled by fear.
And the action might look identical from the outside. You might still start the business or go to the gym or write the book, but the internal energy, the why behind it, is from a different universe.
One feeds the system, the other feeds your soul.
And the system cannot monetize a person who is already whole. It can't sell you a course on how to be complete if you already know you are. The entire industry is predicated on that gap.
The gap between who you are and who you think you should be. The 4 C's are just a bridge to know where they build over that gap.
And our deconstruction today is about telling you to reject the bridge, close the gap, realize there is no gap.
You are not on one side of a chasm trying to get to the other. You are the whole landscape.
And that is a terrifying freedom, isn't it? Because it removes all the excuses.
It does. You can't blame your lack of competence anymore. You can't blame being stuck in the swamp. You are here, now, whole and complete.
The only question left is, what are you going to do with it?
Or maybe even better, who are you going to be with it?
I think that's the place to end it.
Agreed.
And that's our deep dive for this week.
Remember, the most dangerous illusion is the one you don't know you're in.
But now you know. So here's our question for you. Now that you've seen how the action-first myth, the 4 C's ladder, and the future confidence promise function as control mechanisms, what is the one story about yourself you've been using to justify staying in the swamp? And are you willing to stop telling it, starting today?
Let us know in the comments. Question the narrative. Deconstruct the dogma. See the system.
We'll see you next time. Stay skeptical.
Thank you for joining us.